How's it going? I'm Mike with Raceway Electric.
Hi, my name is Scott Bolle with the Bolle Electric, Bolle Company. I'm a certified electrician and general contractor.
We're just going to talk about a couple, past stories, customers, experiences, panels, some of the crazy stuff we've come across, and just think sometimes we could just ramble on for a long time about this stuff.
We could probably ramble on about hours and hours on this one. I mean, I have stories for days. With 29 years in the trades, how long you been in, Mike?
Yeah, doing it, 29 years. The business been in just over 30 years, and, I'm 29 years in, so.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, actually, we're up in North County. This is sort of where I started my electrical, career. I actually started wiring up emergency vehicles. I did X-ray vehicles and LAPD SWAT and surveillance vans and kind of some weird stuff, literally down the street.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've seen a lot from doing when I first just getting into things. We did the original second terminal at the airport, so I got to see that whole thing get put together. And then anywhere from that to moving on to some of the prisons around here to owning my own business. And now we're doing mostly residential, so a little bit different work than what we're used to. But, just this is where we're at.
Yeah, I think both of us have pretty diversified experience, right? So I came from automotive, industrial, electrical, and then moved straight over to commercial, right? Mm-hmm. So I was doing I went for another big company up here in Escondido, working all over. I remember my first big job as a commercial electrician was schools. It was go, go, go. We're digging everything out and gutting buildings with nothing. Mm-hmm. I went, from schools to building up tenant improvements with Viasat and Qualcomm. Just everywhere in San Diego. It's just amazing, the diversity.
Yeah. It's kind of fun just to see some of the things that we've done over the years with new construction on anywhere from a brand new prison going up to remodeling the existing prison downtown to just seeing what that turned into. And then just mainly just a whole nother world of residential, dealing with customers and just their wants and needs and whatever they want. So just smaller scale projects, but still just as important as the rest, and just dealing with, making people happy.
Well, that's still kind of fun though,
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously we have this huge diverse experience, but to be completely honest with you, my favorites are still service.
Yeah.
I think that's still my favorite is service calls.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You're going in there. What better thing is someone doesn't have any power and you're going there and you're figuring out the issue, whether it's a trip breaker, a circuit that got cut, something crazy happened, panel caught on fire. Yeah. I feel kind of seen it all, right?
Right. Yeah. So one of my craziest service calls ever was I got hired as an electrician to hook up a generator to a panel for a nuclear submarine because they were doing some work. They're doing some work on the submarine and they were doing some work on the other systems, and their rules are they have to have so many sources of power when they're doing work to keep everything kosher. I'm like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. That's
probably I would list that as the craziest service call I have ever run. What's sort of yours?
Gosh, I don't even know. I just feel there's so many. There's, I guess one of them that I kind of I keep in the back of my head is there was these people, their panel literally caught on fire. And they don't know if it was a surge from the utility company or if it was a surge from how much power they were using. But somehow it got narrowed down to something didn't work right in the panel. Freaking panel caught on fire, caught on part of their house on fire. And they were out of the house. They had no power for months. Whoa. And just trying to get them moved back into their house. And, but, just seeing things like that. And I feel we come across these things all the time where it was you get an old house, a lot of old homes in San Diego. There's that hard to find part. And we're how are we going to make this work? And it's there's only so many places to get this stuff. So it's if you can't fix it, you're replacing it now.
Well, that comes with experience too, though, right? So,
absolutely.
You and your dad, you guys are amazing electricians and you guys run an amazing company. I literally refer my clients to you, right? Yeah. Because I'm doing more consulting work now and I'm not doing any work in the field. You're my first call. Raceway Electric is my first call as another electrical contractor.
Yeah. And really appreciate that. And, that's how we kind of keep our business going. It's just on referrals. It's just making sure we're out there doing the right thing, making sure, customer's happy, you know, you got to do the right thing.
Yeah,
Keep the
but
business going.
you know, I mean, I also know that you have the experience, right? You've been in the field, right? You're not just the guy who put in a couple hours and decided to start his own company. I mean, you're a family business with experience, and I know that you've seen commercial panels. I know that you've had these, you know, crazy residential things going on, and your diversity is just amazing, and that's what makes you guys quality contractors, right? The experience of your people, the family feel, the way you take care of your people, the way that your people want to work with you, not for you, with you. I've never seen you guys want to have a need to work for you. It's always a team. Admin, you, the guys in the field, it's always a team.
Yeah, and we try to keep it that way. It's, you know, it just makes everything that much better if they know you're working with them, doing everything you can to help them make their job better. So whatever we got to do, work together. We're always working together, come up with a problem. Like literally ask them, well, what do you think we should do? Literally had this conversation before I even got here.
Right.
Going over a job. So, but yeah, it's just the years of experience. And I think the one thing that we have above I feel like most guys are either residential or they're just commercial.
Right.
And we have a lot of years of both. So kind of helps.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Just having that experience of commercial or residential, because we do commercial or residential. So
yeah, so you know, but again, I think some of that helps also is that, you know, we came up in an industry that was very supportive, right? So we had people who were like, hey, here's your training, here are the opportunities, and we're going to support you along the way, because there's always the mentality of, if we help build you, you help build us.
Yeah,
right. It wasn't so conflict driven. It wasn't so profit driven. It was still, I think it was really a nurturing environment, which I just don't think we have anymore.
Yeah, right.
It's a little cutthroat and competitive.
Yeah, it's a little competitive out there. But yeah, we just, you know, go out there and do the right thing and keeps things going.
Yeah. It's the old adage, right? Good, fast, and cheap. Pick two.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Good, fast, and cheap. Like, what do you want?
Yeah,
like, I don't know. It's hard. So
get what you pay for.
Yeah. So what did you do for those? I mean, getting back to the crazy topics here, but like, what did you do for that house? What would you end up having to do? New service upgrade or?
Yeah, we had to do a service upgrade, but even just jumping through hoops, because it was like, couldn't just slap a panel in. It wasn't that easy. So being that it was some structural damage, we had to get these other permits. And it was like, all of a sudden we needed drawings, and I needed to get an engineer involved, and structural engineer, and like this and that and the other thing. It's just like one thing after another. And then you're getting other contractors in there, you know, a framing contractor, roofing contractor. There was some plumbing that needed to get moved or taken care of. So it was just like, just rallying up the gang and getting everyone, you know, together, and then getting like the wish list taken care of from the county, just anything they needed, and just trying to get it all dialed in, make sure everyone's happy, get our inspector out there, and, you know, just get it taken care of. So,
yeah. So, you know, over in Santee, where I used to live, all the lines are underground, but they're all direct bury. So one of the FDG&E lines faulted one night, like middle of the night, and like it faulted underground, and like it woke the neighborhood. Like it rattled and woke the neighborhood. It sounded like a bomb was going off.
yeah.
And it ended up found a path of least resistance to one of the neighbors' houses, like detonated their water softener.
No way.
So yeah, so we have this explosion in the middle of the night. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's lost power.
Yeah.
And then water's just pouring out of the neighbor's down the driveway. Like it's just flooding out because it blew up on one of the copper pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Remember that job we were working on where the dump truck took out the overhead lines, pulled the pole down, knocked the power out for good old waste management?
Well, it took out power for the whole operations team at the Sycamore landfill, right?
Yeah. I mean, these are some of the crazy things we just come across. It's
I
like,
remember helping out with that. Well, you got
to
get poles set, get overhead line.
Yeah, they're like, we possibly have live wires laying on the ground right now, and there's a pole laying on the ground. We need to get this taken care of right away.
Right. Well, it shows the diversity of you and your company too, right? Because I mean, what was there? There was securing the power lines, making it safe, getting new poles installed.
Poles installed,
right?
Which was a new thing for me. I haven't done that before.
Yeah,
but
and not just like a little pole that you can dig in. Like
like a whole utility pole.
Utility pole. You had to bring in, a generator and temp feed the administrative unit so they could keep functioning, because the scale house doesn't work, the admin unit doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't bring you can't throw away your trash without power, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then even that, remember that was like one thing after another, though. Okay, we got the poles set, we got this taken care of. How are we getting the wire back up there?
Right.
We're like, okay, we have a 25-foot pole, or might have even been taller, 30.
I think it was a 30-foot pole that we sunk like 5 feet in, but like 25 feet up because
Yeah.
you wanted to solve the problem for the future because you're like, hey, how often
Gotta
is
raise
this going to
these wires
happen?
up. Yeah.
So you offered a better solution with
Yeah.
a minimal impact. Like, hey, raise the wires and let's fix the problem.
Yeah, yeah. So wasn't for your truck, a couple pulley system and some rope, getting that wire back up there. That was an interesting job. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all crazy and interesting, right?
Yeah.
The amount of jobs that we've like back and forth and helped each other on is amazing. But I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. So I think one of my favorites is you and I were at one of the local Chamber of Commerce events or something. They're like, "Oh, well, you guys are competition." I'm like, "No, we're not competition. We're complementary."
Yeah.
I'm like, Mike can do things that I can't do, and he has experiences that I don't have, and he has a crew that I don't have.
Yeah.
And I have experience that he doesn't have, and we lean on each other all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not competitors. We're complementary to each other.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's just helpful to have someone with the amount of knowledge that you have or I have and working together and just, helping each other out and getting the problems taken care of.
Yeah, it's phone call. It's it's simple as a phone call sometimes, and isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I don't know a lot of industries that like you can do that.
Right. Yeah. I think everyone else mainly looks at it as like, oh, you're a competitor. I'm not going to talk to you.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I just don't understand. I don't understand some of the aggressive competition in the field.
Right. I feel like some of these guys, if they just listen, like, oh, we could actually work together instead of against each other.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm not always the right contractor for the job. Maybe my personality conflicts with somebody, or maybe my price isn't right.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
yeah. So the amount of like crazy and bizarre stuff we see out there though from let's call them less qualified and less experienced contractors is just astounding.
Oh yeah. You gotta get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
So you get some guy in there just not doing the right job.
Yeah.
Something's bound to catch on fire.
Yeah. There's always great. So I've had people shocked in their showers.
Been on those.
Right.
Every time I touch the shower, I'm getting shocked. Every time I touch a faucet, I'm getting shocked. I'm
right.
Like, okay, well, what's going on?
What was going on?
Yeah. Well, so on this case that there was, so plumbing is used for a ground, right? So a source of ground, it was all like the perfect storm because there was a plumbing leak that was repaired and the plumber used some plastic pipe in between the metal pipe. So broke the ground, which was normally is not a big deal, right? But then in some older homes where the outlets are not grounded, someone took that neutral wire, which they're thinking and they know just enough about electricity. They go, if I connect this to ground at the outlet, hey, I have a ground because my little 3-prong tester says I have a ground. Which in reality, what they're doing is putting the neutral to ground, which is the load of the circuit, now is on the ground. And it's not at ground anymore because that plumber put in some plastic pipe and broke the ground. So now they energized that copper pipe, which energized the entire house. Energized the shower, energized the faucets, energized literally everything in there that's metal that was connected to plumbing pipe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, people are getting shocked in the shower.
And most people don't realize, like, we go through years and years and years of training, right? And the code books, they change and adapt every code cycle. We call them code cycles, right? So I don't know how big your stack of code books is, but mine's pretty thick after, almost 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
And, so that's super important. So, I have 2 very similar incidents like that, right? So, we bond all of the metal piping in case of accidental electrical contact, not for contact. And that sounds like what happened where you guys are using the cold water as a bond, which is illegal, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was helping a girlfriend out. Her and her husband had just bought a house. I'm like, yeah, I'll come in. I'll help you do some electrical work. So she invited me to the party. We go. She's like, every time I get water from the fridge, I'm getting zapped. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I helped do some minor upgrades. You know, we did a panel upgrade. We did some other minor stuff, but they didn't do the entire house. They just did what was like most important, which was the service. They did the roof and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that exact same thing you just talked about. Somebody had sort of jumpered the neutral over to the ground.
Yeah.
But they had inverted the wires, right? So as you and I both know, there is a polarity to a wall outlet that nobody ever talks about. Right? There's the skinny one and the fat one. There is a polarity. One's a neutral and one's a hot.
Yeah.
Well, so they had jumpered what they thought was the neutral down to the ground. Turns out they had energized the ground from the hot.
Nice.
So because the refrigerator was connected with plastic tubing, it was fine until she would get a glass of water.
Yeah.
And she would touch the fridge and get a glass of water at the same time, and she would complete the circuit. I'm like,
getting shocked.
I was just surprised she wasn't dead.
Right.
Like, this is so bad and so unsafe. But
yeah.
That's why we have rules and experience, right?
Doesn't take much to make it wrong, and then someone's getting shocked.
You know what? You're so right. It doesn't take much to make it wrong.
How many times have you heard that someone goes, every time I touch the screw on the screw plate for a switch, to get shocked? Because they thought they were like hooking up a 3-way switch or something. They ran 120 volts to what should have been that ground screw on the switch because they have the wrong switch. And they energized the switch. And then they energized the screws on the plate. The plate's plastic,
Right.
but the screws are metal, and they're barefoot, and they just go to flip that switch, and at the same time they hit the screw.
You know what? I don't think I've actually seen that one.
You haven't got that call?
I have not got that call. That is crazy.
I've had those.
I've never experienced that one. I mean, admittedly, I did get myself shocked a little bit one time of a similar condition. I'm in my garage.
Yeah.
It was the old fluorescent lights, you know?
Yeah.
So I walk in the garage, I'm barefoot, nice concrete, right?
Yeah.
And I grab the chain for the fluorescent light.
Which you should be able to. Barefoot.
Which you should be able to.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know was only a 2-wire.
Oh.
It was an old light that was there before I got there.
Yeah.
But the ballast was failing.
Oh, okay.
So it was energizing the casing. It was no big deal because nobody ever touched it, right?
Yeah, right.
Until I walk in there barefoot and I touch the metal and I am the circuit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the ground.
Yeah. I have never had the 3-way energized light switch before. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I've seen some things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had a rabbit.
God. Yeah, we've had cats peeing on outlets before and shorting out. I'm assuming the cat would have got shocked peeing on it, but somehow the cat peed on an outlet, and we got this call that,
You know what's so funny? I had a similar one. So finish your story, and we'll compare it to the rabbit.
We get out there, and she's like, I lost power, and I don't know why. And so my guy went out there, and he went and checked on it, and he realized that the entire outlet smelled like cat pee. And I'm talking about the outlet itself. And then he pulled it out, and it was like, clearly the cat peed on the outlet. Out of all the places for the cat to pee in the house, it decided that outlet was the best place. And like, why not? But kind of wonder if that was the one and only time it ever did it, because I bet it got a nice little shock.
I bet it felt it.
Probably
so
felt
you know what's
it.
So funny? So, service calls, right? So I get a call. It's like 6 o'clock at night. I get a call from this woman. She's like, I don't have power in my bedroom. I don't have power in my bathroom. I don't have power anywhere. And I was like, I'm like, it's after hours. I'm like, it's not an emergency, right? Like having no power in your bathroom and your bedroom is not an emergency.
Yeah.
The entire house, okay, let's talk about after hours. But
yeah.
So for some reason, I'm like, I'm really busy tomorrow. Let me just come out right now. I'll just handle the call.
Yeah.
So I get out there and start troubleshooting, and I'm like, I didn't understand what was going on because I couldn't get this GFCI to reset the bathroom, and the bathroom was tied to the same. I'm like, what is going on here? So I finally start tracking the circuit with we have tools, so I put a toner in it and I start tracking the system, and I find a rabbit cage next to the bed, backed up against the wall.
Yeah.
And against the wall, behind the rabbit cage, is a receptacle.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm like, no way. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to troubleshoot. So I pull the cover off, and like rabbit urine drips out of the cover. It was just disgusting. But like that was causing the short on the bathroom.
Perfect.
If I hadn't gone out that night, I never would have identified the problem.
Right.
I'd been like ghost in the machine. I don't know. Like demons, chalk up the demons or something. I don't know because it would have dried.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would have reset and it never would have a problem until the rabbit did it again. But like, just absolutely crazy. So do you have that? Do you have people who are like trying to fix their own things, just making the problems worse?
Oh yeah, all the time. And it's like they go, I love the people that call and they'd be like, hey, it's all working and it fixed itself. Okay, it didn't, but if you want to cancel your appointment, then that's fine. Let me know. Call me back when it's out again. And then usually that day they call me again and they go, oh, it's out again, but I think I fixed it. I'm like, okay, all right. And then we usually get a call like the next day and like, hey, I just need to come out. And then usually it's just something crazy or just lack of experience of what they're getting themselves into, and they're just not doing things. Or how many people have like, this breaker keeps tripping and then they just hold it on because it won't stay on. And what they're doing is lighting that fuse basically because the wire has a short on it and it's literally melting that entire wire from the breaker to wherever it's going. And then you're usually melting all the other wires around that. We've had those before. It's like, I held the breaker on thinking it was just a bad breaker and it would reset by holding it on. But now it melted all this wire and it burnt my drywall and now we have to replace more things.
Right.
So,
And we have to severely escalate this. So do you find that customers, I've had this experience where customers are like sort of like embarrassed when they shouldn't be? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't understand. Like, look, I don't do plumbing.
Yeah.
Right?
Not going to pretend to do plumbing.
I am not the best accountant in the world.
Yeah.
I have people for that because that's not where I'm a professional. Like, but I'm not embarrassed to ask for help. Like, it seems like when I get service calls sometimes, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But like, I don't mind walking customers through the simple fixes. Like, hey, let me teach you how to reset a breaker over the phone.
Yeah.
Send me a picture.
Right.
Oh, it's a little black and red button in your garage. Like, I'd rather you call me back for something that you need me for.
Yeah, I don't want to go out there to press that little reset button on a GFI and boom, all your power's back on. Like, I feel bad doing that stuff.
I know, I feel bad too, but like, like I know you and I do the best we can to like walk people through fixing the most common and basic problems.
Yeah.
But like, I don't feel you should ever be embarrassed to like admit that you have a lack of knowledge in this environment. Right. I mean, our apprenticeship is, 5,000. I know, how many hours are we, man? 8,000 hours, right?
Yeah.
We're 8,000 hours of apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
Apprenticeship, 8,000 hours.
Yeah.
And then we go to journeyman status. Mm-hmm. And then we've got years and years and years of doing that before we get to, where we're at. But like, you're literally an expert in your field. Mm-hmm. I'm an expert in my field.
Yeah.
Like,
don't be embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed.
Because you don't know.
Make the phone calls. We're happy to help you.
Yeah. I literally had a guy, he was embarrassed about the situation. I was like, as soon as I told him, he's like, all the bathrooms went out, the outlet on the back patio is out. And I'm like, oh, you have a GFI somewhere. And I'm like, it's probably in your garage. And he literally, like years ago, put cabinets in all the way around from all three walls of the garage were just floor to ceiling cabinets. And I'm like, you don't have any outlets behind these cabinets? He's like, nope. Nope, I don't. I'm telling you. I'm like, I'm telling you that you have a GFI, the way they wire these houses, they put one GFI in the garage, and if it's not in your bedroom and they're daisy chained together, it's in your garage and they're daisy chained together. You don't have any other GFIs in any of your bathrooms, and I'm telling you, it's one GFI that's tripped, and you've been here for years and you've just been lucky, but I'll bet you $1 that you rip out these cabinets, you're going to find you have a GFI behind one of them. And he's like, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm like, it's the only way to restore power. Otherwise, we're going to run a new circuit to where we think that is. It was a 2-story house, so we couldn't just easily access the attic above the garage. And he's like, he sat on it for a day, and I heard from the following week, he's like, you're not going to believe it. He's like, over the weekend, I tore out every single cabinet in my garage, and it wasn't until the last cabinet is where I found that GFI outlet, and I couldn't believe I buried it. He's like, you're right. And I go, well, at least you found it. And it's like, it was only your own time and it didn't cost you hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars to like just rewire a couple things because you simply just made a mistake in burying an outlet.
Right.
But yeah, it was like this poor guy, it was like pulled out every single cabinet in his garage just to find this outlet.
Man, I had the same one, but they trusted me, and I cut a hole in the back of the cabinet.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I'm like, I am not a cabinet guy. This is not going to be pretty.
How do you even find the outlet behind the cabinet?
Toner. I got lucky. I was like 2 inches off. I was 2 inches off because I had the toner.
Yeah.
And like when I cut it open, I could see it, and the hole was bigger than it had to be. But like, we didn't have to rewire the house.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good.
Oh, man, it was luck. It was luck.
Yeah.
So, but like, I mean, we've been doing this for so long. Like, part of that troubleshooting is like, I'll ask people over the phone. I'm like, well, when was your house built? Mm-hmm. Oh, 1987. I'm like, okay, go check the GFCI in your master bath.
Right.
They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, that one's going to control all of your outdoor and garage and bathrooms. They're like, no. I'm like, yeah.
And they're still doing that, but they were smart enough to at least put it in the master now because they figured that's the most used outlet.
Yeah.
So then working it backwards.
Right.
So now I don't have to worry about it being in the garage or being behind a cabinet or something.
Yeah, but again, new code cycles, new rules, right? So now we have dedicated 20 amp circuits to the bathrooms.
Absolutely.
Now we have convenience outlets in the garage. So I mean, it makes it a little easier on us, a little better for the customers. But you wonder why cost of construction goes up. Like, well, we have new rules.
There's a lot of new rules. It's absolutely insane. Just trying to keep up with all that.
Well, and of course, being experts in our field, right? I mean, I maintain my journeyman card.
Yeah.
36 hours of CEs every couple of years. I know you do.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like one thing after another.
It's one thing after another. There's always learning on this.
Why does it cost so much to come out and do a thing? Well, my truck costs money, insurance costs money, gas costs money, my training costs money, my everything costs money.
Your everything costs money. Your experience costs money.
I wish I could charge customers, $60 an hour again. I wish, right? Instead of 160, like I wish I could charge you $60 an hour again.
Yeah.
Those were sort of like, everyone's making money and happy, and it just doesn't happen anymore.
Good old days, huh?
Good old days. So, what's the most fun project you have going on right now?
Oh, I don't know. We got doing some solar, trying to get that finished up. Now we're working around the rain, so just trying to get that finished up. Service upgrades are really a big thing right now. Good old California insurance companies. They're just knocking these old panels down. They don't want them. You find out that you got an old panel, they want it out. So we're doing a lot of service upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of service
insurance compliance.
A lot of insurance complaints. So most of the time it was like, hey, I want to upgrade my panel because of whatever. Now it's, I need to upgrade my panel because my insurance company says they're going to drop me if I don't do that. So that's mainly like every week talking to someone about insurance issues, upgrading their panel, all that stuff. So that's keeping us busy. So,
speaking of insurance, most of my work now is consulting work. I sort of shifted some life changes, and I do a lot of consulting now. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of consulting for construction litigation.
Okay.
So with the construction litigation, like some of the documentation that we're always looking for, because I work for insurance companies and attorneys, is who did the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they certified?
Right.
Where's the permit?
Yeah.
And that's a huge one when it comes down to, getting things done.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. Like, when teaching something, I'm like, document. I'm like, if you don't have a licensed contractor and you don't have a permit and you don't have a paper trail, I think you're making it up.
Yeah.
But, if something happens, you use a licensed contractor, you got it inspected, and everything looks to be properly installed by licensed electricians, then we're going to honor the claim.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time, it's not an issue. You can validate the claim when it was done properly. Mm-hmm. But man, I have seen some things.
I bet. What's the craziest thing you've come across lately?
In the last literal 7 days, I was on a job where a previous, I don't know that I would call them a contractor. I don't know who did this job, but they literally tapped the lines from the utility company to go to a generator transfer switch, and then went back to the meter before it went to the panel.
Wow.
So
That's bold.
that's really bold.
Yeah.
And it was a 400 amp service. It was a really big service. And the other thing is, like, the way it was installed is anytime the generator would run, they were technically paying the utility company
Yeah.
for their power that they were generating with their own generator.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So no, I've seen some crazy stuff.
It's the things people try to do just to get free power. You know, it's just absolutely amazing. I wouldn't even attempt some of the things I've seen.
Yeah. It's
just crazy. They're lucky they didn't kill themselves.
no. Yeah. I'm really impressed also.
Yeah.
But, you know, so another, you know, while we're talking about crazy things and experience, I know you're certified in a lot of systems, but, you know, a lot of people don't realize how much effort actually goes into an electric vehicle charger and install.
Right.
It's not just hook up some wires. You know, tell me about your process and how you guys do this.
So just making sure, like, one, we're just, the right material. So they literally, if they've been having issues with melting the outlet, just even as basic, as simple as that. So I always tell people, so like, when I'm giving you a price, I just want to let you know that, like, my price might be a little bit higher or might be a little bit lower or right in the middle. But I just want to let you know, look for this outlet here with this special stamp on it for charging your car. Because people are literally melting these things. So just that alone, I feel like, is one of the most important things that you could be telling the customer. So just talking about that, it's just like, hey, make sure you're getting a certified electrician to be installing this, and they're properly, it's getting installed right. The last thing you want is melting something just because you're using this thing every day, something that's drawing 45, 48 amps on a 50 amp rated outlet every single day for hours. Like, if you don't have the right one.
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up because, I mean, you and I know this from experience, but what you're talking about is a continuous load, right? So
Yeah.
we as electricians and contractors design around circuits in different ways, right? So your dryer is not considered a continuous load.
Right.
Your oven is not considered a continuous load. Your EV charger, that's a continuous load. So what goes into a continuous load?
So you're just, constant load on that whole thing. I mean, that circuit for hours, you got a lot of power that's being drawn on that.
Right. Are there special considerations regarding wire upsizing or breaker sizes or temperature considerations?
Just making sure it's properly wired for, like, the load of the circuit. So you want to make sure your wire is rated properly, and then your breaker, obviously, all of that. Like, you got the right outlet that's meant for the heavy duty charging. Your wire's correct. If you have 50 amp circuit, you want to make sure your wire is rated for that. If you have a 50 amp circuit, you want to make sure your breaker is rated for that. You don't want to be going over because now you're just creating a fire hazard, and you definitely don't want to be going under because you're not going to have anything but problems tripping the circuit.
Right. Yeah. So you can't just go to Home Depot and get wire off the chart for the.
No, you're not going to. Yeah. Just, well, I don't know. That white wire looks good. I'm going to use that. And,
no, that's my favorite. You see the chart up at Home Depot, like, oh, this wire's rated for this.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take into consideration the environmental temperature, the power factor, the continuous use, the lug rating temperatures, like all the things that we learn over all these years of training and experience. Like, it's not just screw the wire into the connector.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I know. Yeah. I know. This is like one of those topics that, like, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? Well, I literally carry an extra set of clothes in my service truck because of the plumbers.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. How many times you've been on a job and they're like, hey, I just want to let you know we just had a major plumbing leak and it's a little wet down there under the house. And you're like, call me when that's fixed. Because I can't go down there. We can't send the guys down there. Like, come on. Like, yeah, so just dealing with that stuff.
We're always back and forth to the other trades. We always have nicknames, right, for other trades. We'll probably keep those out of it.
Yeah.
But, like, I literally carry an extra set of clothes because of the plumbers and sprinkler fitters. Like, just dirty things happen around those guys all the time.
Yeah.
Like, sump pits, like, sewage ejector pumps, like... Oh, I am not a fan of some of the things we have to touch some days.
No, yeah. The plumbing's got to be the worst, like a leak under the house. I mean, there's always, like, things you're going to come across that are expected, right? Like underneath the house, a dead rat, maybe some spiders or some kind of bug down there that you're like, you want to stay away from. But Yeah, you get to a sewage leak, or how many times have someone even been like, "I just want to let you know we have this like major infestation of rats in our attic," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna need you to get that cleaned out before we get up there, just 'cause safety concerns of
Right.
like breathing in all that stuff."
Yeah,
Like,
we have
you just,
hantavirus in San Diego, so that's a real
yeah,
concern.
so it's like you just got to really pay attention to like situation or like what the customer is telling you. Like, yeah, I know your power's out. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not going to send someone up there, or, and have these health concerns.
Right. So you brought up creatures, which made me think of like a whole bunch of different sort of like scary and fun things. Like,
Yeah.
what's your scariest encounter with a creature as an electrician?
Well, interesting one, which I felt like an exterminator that day. So these people lost power, and like the main breaker was tripped, right? So
That's pretty rare.
I know. I go into the panel. There was a dead rat laying in between the main breaker and the rest of the way this panel was designed. It had the busing that came down off the main breaker to the rest of the circuit breakers, and it was a rat laying across those two pieces of busing that are exposed in a panel. And guess what? He touched both those, and he was fried, and he was still there, dead. And I had to pull him out of the panel. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
So my sort of scariest moment with creatures in the field as an electrician, I was troubleshooting some driveway lights, which doesn't sound like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It was a really long driveway in Valley Center.
Yeah.
And I'm walking up this concrete driveway. It's beautiful, perfectly manicured, like watered, gorgeous. And, you go to the handhole next to the side of the driveway and you stick your finger in it, you pull it up. You're like, wires in there, no splice. Okay. Go to the next one. You stick your finger in the hole. You pull up the cap. Okay. Wires in there, no splice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The third one I did, stuck my finger in the hole, pulled up the cap, rattlesnake.
That's not good.
I'm a big guy.
Couldn't close it fast enough, could you?
Pretty sure I exceeded my height jumping back. I've never been so scared on a job as an electrician in my life as pulling.
I wish I could have seen that.
I'm glad I was alone.
Yeah, right?
Also, another good reason to carry a change of clothes.
Yeah. I was on a call. We were just this guy lost power, and we're opening outlets up, and a bee flies out, and then another bee, and then another bee out of the outlet box.
Oh, no.
He's coming out of the outlet box. Like 3 or 4 bees flew out of this thing. Oh, shit, put the outlet back in there real quick. So one, I'm allergic to bees. So if I get stung, I'm screwed. So yeah, I'm allergic to bees. And so I put my ear up against the wall, and you could just hear it.
Oh, no. Was there a hive?
The entire wall was full of bees. Yeah, and so I had to call this guy and be like, okay, you got bad news. Like, one, we didn't figure out why your power's out. And 2, you have a couple bees flying around inside your house now. And 3, your wall is completely full of bees. So you're going to need an exterminator. So, yeah. So, he called me later that day. He sent me some pictures. They opened up the entire wall in his bedroom. Opened up the wall. They got all the bees out. And then now he's got to get all this drywall work done and painting done. And then after all that was done, we went back up there, troubleshot the power.
Wow. Another kind of fun one, didn't really cause any damage, just really super annoying. Anywhere like east of Alpine, there's a lot of, squirrels, a lot of ground squirrels. And when you get up in the hills, there's all the oaks, right? So there's all the acorns. Mm-hmm. I don't know how these guys do it, but I would do a lot of work in the foresty areas, sort of the off-grid areas.
Yeah.
And the squirrels would somehow get the nuts and put them into the service riser at the top of the weatherhead.
Oh, that's
so they
interesting.
would climb along the lines or do whatever they're doing, and they'd drop all the nuts into the service riser. So you have a service panel full of acorns, of shelled acorns, all the way up the pipe. So when you pull the cover off, it's just like a cascade, just a huge rush of nuts falling over you.
Good thing they weren't conductive.
Yeah, if they were any more wet, they probably would have been. But
probably would have.
It's just super lucky, but funny experience.
Yeah.
And then, all the time, sort of the fun ones are like when the customers have animals, dogs and cats. Mm-hmm. The dogs are always kind of curious and get a little sniffy, and they're not too bad, but some of the fun ones. I had this one cat follow me around one day.
Yeah.
Like, just wanted to be with me the entire time. Like, sniffed on my back, pushed on my bag. Like, I've been over to do a thing. Like, jumps up on my shoulder and just like hangs out while I'm working. I'm like,
okay,
got
a new friend.
I have a new apprentice for the day.
Yeah. I had a bird do that to me one day. I swear to God, it was the weirdest thing. I had, one of our utility trucks, the door would fold down on this particular truck we had. And this bird flew up and he's just hanging out on the shelf of the door, just watching me. I mean, literally right there, a foot away, just hanging out. And then I happened to be working on a light next to a fence. He flew over to the fence, just checking it out. It's like, hey, what are you doing?
Had a bird buddy for the day?
I had a bird buddy for the day. Yeah, it was
Nice.
my partner. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's fun. It's all these service calls always take us to all these like random and weird places, and like I always love like the scenery sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, especially for you, you're doing a lot of work out in the mountains, so that's got to be pretty fun.
I mean, it just depends the luck of the draw of the day. Sometimes you're at the beach, sometimes you're in the mountains.
Yeah, right.
So it just depends on your service territory.
Yeah, yeah. So. That's what one of the things I love. All these houses we get to see, meet all kinds of people in all different kinds of places.
There are a lot of different people in a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty fun.
So I know our culture is a little bit different, but what was one of the favorite goose chases you got put on as an apprentice?
I don't even know. I felt like it's been so long. Oh, well, yeah. So, just one of my more fun experiences of kind of opportunity for every single person I worked with to make fun of us. So as we were building that jail downtown, the one down by the border in Otay, one day I was like, hey, I literally got to see this place go from the ground up. It was like a dirt lot, and then all of a sudden there was jail cells and everything. And I'm in there with my foreman, and I was like, hey, look, they got the doors on. And I was just checking out the doors, and I closed the door, and it locked.
You locked yourself in the jail?
Locked ourselves. Yeah, we were locked up in jail for the moment. And we had radios and everything, so it wasn't bad. I've actually, but it was, how do you make a call on the radio where every single guy, every single foreman on that job has a radio on them, and they're like, hey, we need you over here in this building. And they're like, well, why do you need us over there? We're like, all the electrical's done over there. We're not really doing it. No, I have a question about something over here. Can you please just meet us over here? Okay. Trying to just be really careful not to let everyone know you just locked yourself in a cell. So we were the laughing stock that day of getting locked in jail.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was only for like a matter of minutes. I've heard stories of people actually doing the same thing towards the end of the day, checking things out and getting locked in, and there's no one around, and they've spent the whole weekend in there until someone came in on Monday morning to let them out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
We didn't do that. So
nice.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, that was probably one of my most embarrassing things that I've done. Say I spent time in jail for 15 minutes.
Nice.
Literally locked up.
So, I think we were talking the other day, we were talking about job site safety. So, that's probably going to be one of the tailgate safety talks from, do not close yourself in the jail, right?
Don't lock yourself in a cell, you
So,
idiot.
I have sometimes some very curious customers, like, over my shoulder, not just, like, dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Right? Like, have you ever had to, like, stop a customer from hurt themselves?
Why is it that I've had adults, people older than me, apparently their parents didn't ever tell them, don't stick your finger in the light socket, Just like a month ago, I was working on a panel, like their main panel there was a short, and they lost power to the laundry room. And I open up like the main part of the panel where the utility power is in there. And it's just live wires and live busing. And this lady, she's had to have been like 75 years old. And she's like, oh, I just want to stick my finger in there. I'm like, what are you doing? I literally had to knock her hand down 3 times. She wanted to stick her fingers in there. I go, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Oh, I was just curious, and I just wanted to point at something and show you. And I go, don't do that. You're
That's-
making me very nervous.
It scares me.
Yeah.
It scares
and I'm
me.
like, didn't your parents ever tell you not to stick your finger in anything that looks like it could hurt you like that?
I don't even wear jewelry when I'm working on electrical. Like,
Yeah.
like if I wear a watch, that's pretty much maximum.
I know, right?
And it's
You
got to
don't-
have a rubber band on it.
Last
like,
thing you want to do is ground yourself out with your ring or something.
just it's crazy, like, I mean, I even with all the training, all the experience we have, like, stuff happens, right?
Right.
So, like, I've literally had to go to the emergency room because I burned a hole in my hand.
I've done the same
Right.
thing.
I was opening up. I was doing a trouble job for a water company, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And they were installing a filter for a machine.
Yeah.
And then the facility was like, "Oh, we don't have an electrician. Could you be our guy?" I'm like, "Well, what do you got?" So they take me over to this machine that's not working, and there's a control panel in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh yeah, the problem's in there." I'm like, "Okay." Well, I didn't plan on working on the machine. I didn't, right? So I just simply reached down, opened the cover, and opened the lid.
Yeah.
Wire comes springing out,
Oh, perfect.
hits me in the web of my hand,
Yeah.
and literally burned a hole in the web of my hand.
Wow.
While I'm touching the shell of the outside of the machine. Like,
Yeah.
thankfully, it was one of those 90-degree 10 a.m. days in Santee. I'm just covered in sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only thing that saved me,
Yeah.
is that the most of the power went over me as opposed to through me. Yeah, so
That's crazy.
yeah, so I had to go to the emergency room, get an
Yeah.
EKG.
Nice
Because,
hole in your hand.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's with training and experience.
Yeah. And depending on your tools too, like we rely on our testers to tell us, does this thing have power or not? And so I carry 2 testers now because sometimes one of them, and it's a very good tester, I've spent a lot of money on it, lied to me.
Right.
And I'm on a ladder. I'm trying to cut into some wire, tested it. My tester told me it was dead. So worst way to get shocked, right, is from one hand across your heart and grounding out to the other.
Right.
So I did that. I'm on a ladder, grab a hold of this metal sheet wire, and I happen to grab the bottom of it to pull what I already cut off. Well, then it was 277 volt, literally burned a hole in my hand, knocked me off the ladder and everything. I was like, this is not good. Like, this sucks.
Right.
So,
So,
yeah, I had to go to the hospital, go get that checked out.
we've touched on, safety and codes and upgrades and stuff. So have you run across newer construction that was built in compliance with the codes that has been bypassed by an electrician who says those parts don't do any good because of nuisance strips?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe this stuff.
Like arc fault breakers.
Arc fault breakers, GFCIs, like I'm trying to tell people, I'm like, well, they're actually doing their job if they're tripping.
Right.
Let's
yeah,
find
something's
the
wrong.
problem,
Yeah.
not eliminate the safety switch.
Yeah.
I just, I can't. They're like, oh, just bypass it. I'm like, I can't work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, this is tripping for a reason.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing like I'm sitting in my jacuzzi and the GFI breaker keeps tripping all the time, but if we put a regular break in there and it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of these days you're probably going to get shocked in your jacuzzi, and then you won't be calling me to tell me about it because you won't be around.
Right.
Yeah, that's in there for a reason.
It's in there for a reason.
Keep you alive.
Yeah. These safeties are so, you and I know this, but like the general public doesn't, but like the code is built on incidents, right? Like, hey, the code is here because something happened, somebody figured out it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then we mitigate it by writing a code for it.
Right.
Like GFCIs in what locations? That's because people are getting shocked. I have heard horror stories about little kids next to pools.
Right.
Right. I've heard, you and I have personally experienced getting, shocked just in, random events. We have customers who have been shocked. And, we never want to bypass safety.
Yeah.
And I can't wrap my head around how people can do that.
All this stuff is here for a reason. Help keep you alive.
Right.
Help protect you.
I don't want to charge you $100 for a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
That's just what I have to do to it right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to appreciate this when you don't die.
Yeah. You can live longer.
You'll live longer. You can call me for the next job.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mike. So what's the grossest event as an electrician you've ever had to sort of deal with?
Just being on that job that we were remodeling the downtown jail, we were talking about. So older jail, right? There's going to be lead. There's going to be asbestos on that. So like we had to like take the precautions with that. But they tested the air one day and said it was 75% dead skin floating around the air. So there's that. So that didn't make me feel good about being on that job. So that was probably the dirtiest job I've ever been on. It was absolutely disgusting. Yeah. So there's that. And something that you're not normally dealing with, dead skin floating around. Yeah.
I mean, technically you are, just not to that event level. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So, I mean, we've been on jobs where I've worked at the crazy cat lady's house, and she had 25 to 30 cats running around the house, and it was disgusting. They were not the nice, clean, cats you would see in someone's house. Normally when they have like maybe 2 or 3 and they're all clean, taken care of, 25 to 30, it's hard to take care of that amount and clean up after them. So there's been times where I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't do my job here.
Right.
So there's just that. And the occasional hoarder's house you get into every now and then.
Right. Oh, speaking of crazy, like I think every one of my friends on social media has decided to send me the same picture. Have you seen this video of this electrical panel this guy says he found in the bathroom? It just like starts smoking and stuff.
No, I have not seen. Let me
here,
see.
Hold on. Let me show you this one. All right, here. Take a look at this.
Oh. I have no words, but there is smoke. Yeah, there's smoke coming out of that panel. So, yeah. So look how this panel's made up. So I have seen panels in real life like that. I don't know if some of this is made up for the reel itself. Yes, that's not far-fetched. And yeah, like the things that they're doing in there are completely awful. And you will, if you did that, you're going to have smoke come out of your panel if you have a problem.
I feel like this reel is like somebody's bad joke of like every bad thing we've ever seen crammed into one panel just for fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just insane. Like sideways mounted breakers into breakers, like bare wires, screws holding breakers on. Like,
yeah,
I've seen all of these things independently, but like there are so many problems in this one.
So many problems. How many panels, how many houses have you gone to? Seen the panel like that though? Like you're like, who did this? Like, just amazing to me that someone actually did something like that. And you're like, I don't know how this is just not catching on fire the way the condition it's in.
Right.
Or how many times have you been to someone's house where, remember the old screw-in fuses? What did people do? Because they
drop pennies in them.
They put pennies in there just to like, oh, well, the fuse blew. I need a quick, easy fix. Everyone's got a penny. They stuck a penny in there and it completed the circuit, turned things back on. But now they're like, no fuse protection.
Right.
So if something else were to go wrong again, then something's catching on fire, right?
Right. And those are normally on the old knob and tube wires.
Oh, yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah, the wire's just like the insulation on it is that old to where it's that brittle. It's just breaking off. It's waiting to like just catch on fire.
You know what's funny though? I've always been like impressed by knob and tube that is still in function today. Like we have a ton of homes downtown in North Park and Hillcrest and downtown that are still on knob and tube.
Yeah.
I am impressed. Like a well-maintained system installed by quality craftsmen back in the day.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's when like men were men, when we're like, can you imagine even installing that? Like every wire that you're running, you're literally securing it with a knob or a tube.
Right.
With a nail going through the knob. Like you're hammering in these knobs. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, literally knob and tube. Like most people are like, oh, it's electrical. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Knob and tube is like a conductor, and they drill. Anytime you drill through a stud,
putting
you put in through a tube,
a porcelain tube, right?
tube.
Yeah.
And then
it
every
was
time
porcelain.
you're changing direction, you're putting it on a knob.
Yeah.
Like you'll
it's
have to bring some of those up. I have a small collection of porcelain conductors, but like
Yeah.
man.
You almost have to be like an engineer too, like electrical engineer, just to like wire a knob into a house. I mean, it is impressive as old as it is, but it's scary at the same time. Like,
well, those are the ones that don't have pennies in them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's impressive.
My other favorite social media one is like where they run that audio clip. They show like some weird electrical thing going on, and be like, "So, who wired the house? Oh, my grandson did.
Oh, I've seen this.
Oh, when did it burn? When did his house burn down? Wait, how did you know?
Yeah, last year it burned down. How did you know his house burned down? I've seen that one. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, yeah, well, if he's wiring it like this, it's bound to catch on fire sooner or later.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've noticed during my time in the field and my experience, like I can go on a job and I get a feel for how it was built, and then I can tell when somebody monkeyed with it.
Oh yeah.
Do you get that same spidey sense? Can you get with that?
Yeah. You start just the panel alone. You always know, like, here's the original wires. Here's what someone added. Okay, and then you could just kind of see the way it's looped around and through the garage and going into the house or something like that. It's just you're like, oh boy, what does this guy do?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, I've noticed that when tradesmen have fingerprints, right? They have their own print of the way they do things. It's very, very telltale.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got their own way of doing stuff, and it's either the fast way or taking a little bit more time and doing it the right way. So you could definitely tell someone. It's nice when you actually go onto a job and you're like, this guy actually did amazing work. Like, and you're impressed by what someone else did, and you're like, okay, that's cool.
Well, speaking of impressed, like you've literally called me to inspect your work.
Yeah.
Right? The city wouldn't do it. They wanted a third-party inspector.
They wanted a third party.
So I went out and inspected your work, and I was impressed. I think what I find, one tiny piece of tape was missing on one conductor that you fixed immediately.
Phase tape marking, a ground wire or something like that.
It was just like
something dumb.
Yeah, it was like a very, very minor technical detail.
Yep.
But like everything else was beautiful. I just love that like I inspected your work instead of the city. Yeah. And I know I looked at the prints. And I know I climbed up and looked at every piece of conductor and every wire and every breaker.
Yeah.
And
and I actually left that one wire not labeled correctly,
just to test me.
You could find something. Yeah. So I could really tell you're doing your job, and it makes you feel good. You're like, I found the one thing that he didn't have right. So
nice.
You got to find something.
Well, I appreciate you leaving me that little tidbit. Just throw me a bone there.
I wouldn't hate to see him miss that. Just one little minor detail.
Right.
Yeah, a little green tape on a black wire, identifying its ground.
It was in the list.
Yeah, you found it. So. Yeah, it was cool.
All right.
Speaking of electrical tape, does it fix anything? Are there old myths about electrical tape?
Oh, that's my favorite. I love how everyone. The question was, what does electrical tape fix? Well, not a whole lot actually. Right. So there are some specialty electrical tapes. There are splicing tapes and weatherproofing tapes, but you actually have to know what you're doing with them. The old adage of, I don't know why people do this. You get these old school guys, right? Like, oh, you got to wrap your receptacles with tape.
Mm-hmm. I hate that.
No, you don't.
Or every splice, like everyone does a splice, and then they put the wire nut on it, and then they tape it up.
Right.
It's just not necessary.
Well, so it was necessary when it was a crimp connector.
Absolutely, because they didn't have wire nuts.
Because they didn't have wire nuts.
Yeah.
But now we have wire nuts, and we have lever connectors, and we have like everything else in the world. Like, it's so hard to get contractors and electricians who are set in their ways to adapt and understand new technology and the efficiencies behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that to be an issue?
Oh yeah.
So you guys are super progressive, and I love that. I love that you guys are always hey, no, I'm taking a training. Hey, what do you think about this product line? Like we're always bouncing, products and abilities off each other.
You have to. Maybe there's something out there that's going to just work better for you, or it's going to be better in the long run. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I get a kick out of that though. The old electrical tape, like what does it fix? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
really. Why do we have it?
Yeah. You can't just tape a bunch of wires together and hope that's going to hold.
Right. It's a tool.
Yeah.
I love the old 33 plus. I mean, you're not gonna change my mind away from 33 plus, the
Right.
3M 33 plus.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
even that we don't use as an insulator, right? So if we're doing split bolt connectors or something else, like we're using the proper rubberized
They have
self-vulcanizing
special tape for that, and then you put on regular tape over that.
right, as a secondary layer of protection.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, electrical. What does electrical tape fix? Nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, let me tell you what electrical tape does work really, really well at. Small hand injuries.
Yeah, they're electricians' Band-Aids, right?
Electricians' Band-Aids.
Never carried Band-Aids on the truck, but we always had electrical tape.
The electrical tape works great. It's super flexible. It's malleable. It's, sterile.
I've had a lot of electrical tape on these hands.
Had a lot of electrical tape on my hand. So I think that's the answer to the question. What does electrical tape fix, Mike?
Yeah, your cuts on your hands. Yeah, stop you from bleeding.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, what type of services do you offer your clients?
We do everything from, if you're looking to do an upgrade because your insurance company, called you out on it, or you're looking to get an electric car and you want a car charger, or you want to rewire your house because you have that old knob and tube wiring. You're doing something the smallest little upgrades of switches, outlets, recessed lights, ceiling fans, just want to spruce up the look of the house. Kind of do it all. Landscape lighting, we do solar. We joke about if it's got wires on it, we take care of it. So,
yeah, that was my old adage: if there's a wire, there's a way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I know you guys are pretty diverse, and I love seeing that.